From Code 591 in beautiful downtown Jesup, Iowa. This is the birthplace of Bohemian Resistance. We're the Bohemian Underground with producer Blake Tempus in one corner, Dale Rueber in the other. I'm Jim Gillespie refereeing, and this is the news for August 11th.
And Jesup's even more beautiful now. They got those old mailboxes on the corner over here. Finally, they're gone.
They got them
and
out
they're
of there.
using that new one. It looks much better.
Oh, cool. It's August 11th, 2025. We're sponsored by Mickey D's Pizza and Lobster. The Farrells are kind sponsors of this podcast. Include them at your wedding, graduation, or festival plans. Don't wait. Their schedule's filling up for 2025. The summer's about done. They're sponsoring the Traveling Art Show for the Steve Brown Art Center. Thanks to them for including the Traveling Art Show. Another sponsor has been very kind to us since the birth of the Steve Brown Art Center is Derek's Repair, located in Jesup, Iowa. Contact Derek Marty for your car repair needs. Also, check out the podcast, What's Up with Bubba, with our friend Bubba Seaman. Bubba is celebrating his podcast this summer, actually. So he does an amazing job as well. He's second to us.
Is he really? He's that close to us. Okay.
It is. His podcast and our podcast and the ratings go back and forth between one and two.
Okay, well.
So
I'm glad that he's doing so well.
All right, Dale. So I'm going to challenge you right away with the quiz.
Do it to me good.
We're going to do a Schares grocery store quiz. Do you remember Schares grocery store?
Oh, yes, I do. I remember Mr. Schares and his wife were nice people. And
that's the first quiz.
Okay, all right.
Who was the owner of Schares grocery store?
There was Herb Schares and his wife Velma.
Very good.
Yeah, where's Delma?
Delma.
Okay.
Delma, yeah.
Yeah, all right, yes.
Herb was a great businessman, wasn't he?
Yeah, he was the kind of businessman that was, I think, generous with his time and also generous in the town. He cared about the town.
Yes, he did.
So,
yes, he did.
I remember when we first moved to Jesup, my wife was shopping in his store, and he did not recognize her, so he came up and talked to her and welcomed her to the community and this sort of thing. And she still remembers that quite vividly.
Yeah.
How nice he was, and so. And you might remember Mrs. Schares was in the play. Did you see the play she did with Paul Humiston on Golden Pond?
See, that was the year before I came.
Oh, okay. And, she and Paul did a great job. It was in that big old barn that was in Independence where the shell of the McDonald's is right there,
Right.
And no, they did a great job. She and Paul Humiston were in that, and so.
Yeah, I miss both of those folks.
Okay.
Both of those folks, real nice people.
Well, since you didn't live here, then I'll forgive you.
Thank you.
You're very welcome. Yeah.
The second question.
Okay.
What was the staple of the Schares delicatessen?
Okay. Actually, I know this. I'm sure it was potato salad.
Yes.
I was down there one day, and I saw a kid I knew growing up in Hazleton.
Yeah.
I said, what are you doing? Well, he says it's every Friday he went to John Deere, and every Friday he stopped on the way home and bought several containers of potato salad to last the weekend. And so it was the potato salad that was very famous, I think.
Very good. Very good. All right. Who worked in the delicatessen to start it when it first opened? They started doing the chicken and stuff back there.
Oh boy, I don't know. Was it I will say Denise Reinhardt's mom or I can't pick out a name. I'm sorry.
It was Mrs. Peterson.
Okay, that's who I was thinking of.
Yeah.
But it wasn't Reinhardt, it was Peterson, yeah.
Yes.
Mrs. Peterson, yep. That's who I was thinking of, but I got the wrong name. Okay.
Very good.
I had her daughter in class, and I'm trying to okay, who was it? Okay, yeah, all right. Yeah.
Who was Herb's son-in-law that took over the grocery store?
Oh, it was Steve, and I don't remember his last name.
Steve Foster.
Steve Foster, okay.
Yep. Okay. And last quiz question. What is there a grocery store in Jesup?
At the moment?
At the moment.
No.
There is not. No. Okay. Dale, that's what the reason I bring up Schares groceries is what are called food deserts.
Okay.
Dale, I'll give you a chance to, and I had a different definition than was online. How would you define a food desert?
Well, I think it's where you have to travel quite a ways to buy staples, fresh fruit, fresh vegetables, meat, that sort of thing, from where you live. There's nothing close by you that that is a place where you can go shop for those items.
Give me miles. Give me the amount of miles. How many would you guess is defined in food deserts?
Really, I'd say 25 at the most, less than 25 miles.
It's 10 miles.
10 miles.
That's how it's defined on the World Wide Web. It's 10 miles in multiple sites.
Sure. Okay.
What are the reasons for food deserts, do you think? What would you guess are the food deserts?
I would guess that the population of a certain area won't support a grocery store in the fact that grocery stores have to have things delivered from large suppliers, warehouses, and this sort of thing. And if it's not economically feasible for them to deliver to that store, then it causes problems, or they have to charge them more for delivery than, say, a larger store that would take more product at a time.
Okay, so here you go. This issue goes back to actually the A&P food company back in the 1930s.
Okay.
Do you know what A&P stands for?
I know what it stands for. I remember the A&P grocery chain.
It was called the Great Atlantic and Pacific Food Company.
Okay.
That was Walmart of the time period.
So it covered the whole country then.
Yeah.
Okay, I did not realize that.
Yep, and the Great Atlantic and Pacific Food Company got it so they controlled the country. Mm-hmm. Matter of fact, today, who do you think the number one seller of food is in our country? What store?
Well, Kroger is real big, and they're trying to merge with somebody else right now to become even larger, as I understand it. But I think there's one bigger than Kroger.
Walmart sells $1 out of every $4 of food sold in our country.
I should have just gone right to Walmart. So
it is. They $1 in every $4, so 25% of them. But during the time of the A&P Food Company, Dale, started to run out the mom and pop stores of town because companies that can food and all of that were forced by A&P to sell the Schares Food or whoever, the small town grocery stores, sell them at higher prices. They said, if we're going to buy a huge amount of products, you got to sell it to us cheaper than you're going to sell it to Jesup. And so that's one of the reasons the price war cost. They're driving right by us to go to Waterloo, to go to Independence.
Yeah. I know my in-laws were here visiting once, and my father-in-law had not brought his insulin. And so they did the calling, whatever thing, got it so they could get some insulin at Walmart in Independence. And she could not believe how cheaply she got it compared to her family drugstore back in Perry.
Yeah.
I mean, very much so, very cheap. And so when she went back home, she was complaining to her family drugstore about the difference in prices. And the guy said, I cannot buy it for what they're selling it for because they buy millions of units. And I'm here in Perry. I don't need, I don't buy that much at one time. And so it's not that I want to charge more, but that's what I have to charge because that's what it costs me. And so, so I know how that volume buying can really affect.
So what happened was A&P forced multiple mom and pop stores out of business in the 1920s, 1930s.
Sure.
And so there was a senator by the name of two senators, a Robinson and a Patman, that sponsored an act called, obviously, the Robinson and Patman Act. And they said that it was illegal for A&P or Walmart or whatever to sell things at a higher price to the small town. Well, at first it worked real well, but then all of a sudden in the 60s and 70s, during the Nixon administration, Nixon and his advisors paid no attention. They turned their backs on him and said, don't investigate, don't do anything with it, just let it happen. So businesses started to go out again. The man behind it for Mr. Nixon, not for Mr. Nixon, but after Mr. Nixon, remember the Saturday Night Massacre during the Nixon administration? Well, he hired Robert Bork was
I remember that
involved
name.
in that. Well, Robert Bork then took up the cause and said the Robinson-Patman Act should be illegal. Let monopolies thrive. So he taught that in either Harvard or Yale, I can't remember which law school, but he taught that. It's one of the reasons why there's food deserts, is because the Robinson and Patman Act have never been or haven't been backed for the last 30 years.
By the Department of Justice, you're saying?
Yeah, they don't investigate. During the Biden administration, they started to again, but they're going away from it.
Yeah.
The monopoly of it all. Are we, Dale, we being Jesup, in a food desert?
It's about 10 miles
Yeah.
to that fairway in Independence.
Evansdale, about 10 miles.
Yeah.
Yep.
Yeah. So I guess I don't consider it to be in a food desert, but if I was not able to drive, or if I didn't have someone who could, do that shopping for me, then we would be in a food desert. Yeah, because there's no place where I could just walk and get the stuff I need. Yeah.
Yeah, I see us in a food desert.
Yeah. It's interesting you bring this up because I think it was like 2 weeks ago my grandsons were here and we were going fishing, and we thought we'd stop. We were looking for some granola bars just to have along with us, and I stopped at the Fairbank grocery store, and I went in there and I went up and down the shelves, and the shelves are practically empty.
They're closing, aren't they?
Well, they were practically empty and very few things, and there was no granola bars to be had. So I stopped and asked the lady, I said, "Are you guys closing down?" No, but she said she called it the warehouse. The warehouse that had supplied them was no longer going to, and they were looking for a new warehouse. And she said, "I think we're going to get one." But and so I've not been back since then.
Interesting.
And but the shelves, you could see where everything had been moved down to one end, and each shelf that was practically empty. So I don't know. I've not heard that they have closed.
Yeah.
But have you heard that?
Well, I'd heard that they were closing, but it may have been because of that warehouse thing.
Yeah.
Maybe somebody responded.
Yeah. So I don't know. But so that was the first indication I had that they were in trouble. And I remember growing up, Hazleton, 600 people, they had a grocery store. The Vaughter brothers ran a grocery store, and that was more than one family made a living out of that store. Yeah. And then I think another guy, but Eldon Schmidtke, who lives in Fairbank, bought the store and ran it for a while. And I remember talking with him later, years later, I met him, and he was farming, and I was working at a farm store. And talking with him, and he in those days you could charge things.
Yeah.
You went and just charge it, and then you'd pay your bill at the end of the month, hopefully.
Right.
But he said he could not. I think he said he had over $30,000 in bad debts.
Oh,
out of that little tiny store. Not even as big as what we're in here right now. The whole thing, which was a lot of money. Back in the '60s.
Yes.
I mean, holy cow!
Yes.
And so there had been a grocery store in Hazleton for years and years. And then the guy that ran the store in Winthrop also, I think, ran the store in Hazleton for a while, but then he went to where he just did the Winthrop store. And so I think the Winthrop store is still going, as far as I know.
Yeah.
But they do a lot of catering and that sort of thing, which probably helps them. And then the small grocery store in Hudson, I know, just recently sold, but they do a lot of catering. And, they're really close to Waterloo.
Yeah.
But they're able to survive so far because of, I think, the catering business, is just my own opinion. But yeah, it's tough because, the profit margin of groceries is really small from everything I've read. There's not much money there. I mean, you got to sell a lot of stuff to make a living. And so, I hope the Fairbank store doesn't close because it's a nice little store, and they had the deli there, which sometimes you go fishing and then you go to get the deli and go down to the Island Park and eat your lunch. It was kind of nice. So
Fairbank's a neat little town.
Yeah.
This is Steve Brown Arts Center Podcast Network. So Dale, what is the issue or one of the issues you have with you tonight?
Okay. Well, I thought I should do this because over a year ago now, we were slamming Buchanan County and the bridge problem.
Yes.
How many bridges? And so a new report just came out, and it started off with Iowa's on the top of the list it does not want to be on. That's sort of like we're the number one in new cancer. Department of Transportation says we have 4,500 plus bridges in a state are considered poor. There's poor, fair, and good.
Say that number again.
4,500 plus bridges
are considered poor
in Iowa are considered poor, and that's the most in any state in the country.
Yeah.
Now Iowa does have a lot of bridges. We're seventh in the number of bridges in the state.
What's the number one state? Do you know?
I do not know. But we are 7th, and that's because we have all these county roads, every mile, and they made them straight. They didn't go around. They didn't take advantage of anything. They need a bridge, they put a bridge in. And so we have a lot of county bridges, and there's 23,683 bridges in the state, and 19% are considered poor. And 24% of the county bridges are considered poor. And they talked a lot about a lot of them have wood. They're over rivers. The wood starts to rot and this sort of thing. And also load limits. If a load limit is ignored and something really heavy goes over one of them, that kind of puts it out of. And he said if it's not safe, they close it off. If it's still safe to travel, they don't. But it still can be considered in poor shape. And they said a lot of county roads, less than 35 cars a day or vehicles a day go over a bridge out in the country.
Okay.
So they don't get a lot of use. But this was, they were touting Blackhawk County because they're ninth best.
Ninth best,
Yeah,
really?
because they only had like 5.4% that were considered poor.
Oh.
And then I looked at the next one, Buchanan County. I was at 6.1%, which I think that's a big improvement over last year. And so Bremer County is 11%, over 11%. Butler County is almost 13%. Grundy County is almost 25%. And Tama County is 32.9%.
Wow.
So I said, whoa. So Buchanan County has really stepped up their game because I think their number, as I recall, was much higher
Yes.
at their report last year. And so I had to say, we need to give them a little credit here. They're doing a good job of getting this thing done. So the best county was Sioux County, which was 2.9%. But the worst was Adams County, which was 44.6%
that's
of
not
their
good.
bridges were considered to be in poor shape.
Yes.
And you figure these days how much it would cost to replace a bridge. I mean, I'm sure it's quite expensive the way things are. So I had to and I know we talked to our two supervisor candidates about that last November when they were here, and both of them thought they should do something about the poor bridges. Well, I don't know what's happened, but anyway, I thought 6.1%. That's not too bad considering everything around us, and so I'm hoping that means that they're working on them and taking care of them. So anyway, I thought we needed to give them a little credit because they're looking pretty good now.
All right. Well, this is Steve Brown Arts Center Podcast Network, and we'll be right back. When we're back, this is Steve Brown Arts Center Podcast Network. We're at Cowork 591 Studios. We want to thank Kelly Cias and Sean Westfall for allowing us to do our podcast from Cowork 591 Studios here. It's a wonderful place. Dale, before we go on, I've got a top 5 list about Schares that I wanted to share.
Oh, okay. All right.
Number 5, it affected the local economy. Mm-hmm. Yeah, that was a good thing.
Yeah.
Okay,
because you think of the number of kids that was maybe their first job.
Yes.
Working down there, and I always think that's wonderful when kids get that kind of experience. That it's not just learning how to do a certain thing, but it's also learning how to work for somebody, and what you're responsible for. That you have responsibility. You should be I don't want to say dedicated, not the right, but you should support the person that you're working for because they're giving you a job. So if you're going to work for the guy, then work for him. I guess the biggest example I have is I was in a McDonald's once, or vice versa, whatever. But there was a kid with a Burger King shirt on that obviously worked at Burger King in the line buying something at McDonald's. If you remember the ads they had where the Coke guy was drinking Pepsi or whatever, and that's fun and everything. But if you're working for someone, you should support them in some way or another. And always got me where if a kid had a job, and this is even when I was a kid, if your best buddy was working at the gas station, if you pulled in there at night, some guys would ask for a favor, put a little gas in, I don't have any money, this sort of thing. Really put a person on the spot. And it took a strong kid to say, no, I cannot, you're my friend, but I cannot do that for you, but there's a lot of that kind of stuff that does go on. We've had people work in the beer tent and give away beer to their friends, and that's tough. But you have to support the person you're working for to be an honest and upright person, in my opinion.
There you go. Number 4, The 5-bean salad. I loved their 5-bean salad with the vinegar. Oh my gosh, Dale, that was the best. And I'm not a bean person, but I love their 5-bean salad.
Yeah, so.
Number 3, and it changed. I don't know, after Marilyn, after Mrs. Peterson. I think her name was Marilyn.
Yeah, it is. Yeah.
After Marilyn left, the recipe changed. When Marilyn was there, the best fried chicken in Iowa.
Yeah.
Oh my God!
A lot of people got that fried chicken.
Yeah. Number 2, the chicken breast sandwich with lettuce and mayonnaise.
That great big grocery store. You just like that back corner, didn't you?
I did. I loved it. Oh my gosh! And number 1, without a doubt, the proximity. You could walk out of school and go 1 mile down to the grocery store and get what you want.
Yeah. I know. I thought, and they're the only store I've ever seen that had that, but they got the grocery carts with a little calculator on there.
Yeah.
So you could figure your unit cost or this sort of thing, or keep track of how much money you were spending,
right.
Which I thought was a wonderful idea.
That was.
But I never saw any other store have those that I can recall.
No, you're right.
Yeah.
Now that I think about it.
I thought it was very modern and also consumer friendly kind of thing to do. So,
okay.
Yeah.
That's my Schares top 5. Okay. So Dale, I grew up in a town in northern Iowa called Cresco on Highway 9.
Yep.
And on Highway 9, on the south side, there were 6 bars right next to each other.
Okay. Does that explain a lot about your behavior?
It might. Yeah. It might. My sophomore through senior year, I got Mom to arrange my eye appointments and my teeth appointments at 11 o'clock during the day.
During the school year, I bet.
Through the school year.
Okay.
And so I would then skip that appointment and go down and have a cheeseburger and shoot pool during that time. But I did. There's a reason my eyes are terrible and my teeth are bad, Dale.
Yeah, okay. Didn't she ever wonder why she never got a bill for these services?
I think she was probably happy she didn't get the bill. Maybe they thought they were giving us a deal or something.
Okay.
But yes, that's a true story. I would skip my appointments and go play pool and eat cheeseburgers.
Yeah.
Nice people. I have sort of an ode to the Iowa Tavern.
Okay.
This is what I have. In Iowa, where cornfields stretch like golden oceans and small-town camaraderies flow thicker than gravy at Sunday potlucks, there stands a timeless institution, the local tavern. Not just a watering hole, an Iowa tavern is a stitched-together quilt of laughter, long stories, gentle gripes, and the odd poker night. It's a place where the jukebox still works, the bartender knows you if you want 2 ice cubes or 3, and the grill fires up with the same loving defiance as it did in 1976. Ooh, those cheeseburgers, Dale. Step inside, and your senses are hit with the nostalgia of wood-paneled walls, neon beer signs buzzing like prairie cicadas, and the warm smell of fried tenderloin and onion rings that hang in the air like a denim jacket on a coat hook. Locals, usually known by nicknames Beans, Peg Leg, Smokey, Debbie from the Elevator, huddle at their usual spots, spinning stories and debating whether the high school girls team has what it takes to go all the way this year.
Okay.
The tavern is where history lives, not in dates and dusty books, but in tales told over pint glasses, like the time the jukebox got stuck on Johnny Cash for 3 hours, or the infamous night of the 2-tractor standoff out in the parking lot. It's where laughter travels quicker than a prairie breeze, and newcomers are welcome with cautious warmth of folks who've learned that trust is earned one shuffleboard game at a time. But beyond its quirks and culinary marvels, just someone's grandmother who makes the pies. A tavern in Iowa represents something much more profound: continuity. In a world that seems increasingly frenzied and fractured, the tavern is where life slows to a pace that lets stories breathe. It's where communities gather not by schedule, but by instinct. There's no app for that, no algorithm that can replicate the feeling of learning or leaning on a weathered bar next to someone who knows your uncle's middle name. On Friday night, the place glows. Farmers clean up, kids come back from the city, musicians plug in dusty amps, and the town's heartbeat picks up. It's not about spectacle. There's no velvet rope or cover charge. It's about presence. And knowing that, for a few hours, time softens its edges and everyone belongs. An Iowa tavern, in the end, isn't defined by square footage, drink specials, or trendy renovations. It's defined by its spirit. The same one that builds BAMs, baked casseroles, and raise families on values thicker than winter jackets. It is a sanctuary of stories, a cathedral of connection, and perhaps the last place on earth where people still dance like no one's lives. Some may call it just a bar, but those who felt its warmth, its proof that magic can happen anywhere, even between a pinball machine and a plaque that reads, "In memory of Smokey." He always bought the first round. So
we had two bars in Hazleton, and there were Sheehan's Tavern's one I knew the best.
Yeah.
And there was a man and his wife, and they had two sons and a daughter. They all worked in there.
Yeah.
And especially before they sold liquor by the drink. You know, it was a beer bar.
Right.
And so it wasn't too bad kids in there. And I don't think they ever had a band, anybody ever danced or anything. But they had tables in the back and card games going all the time. And I think euchre was the game, dime a set, nothing big. And it was just the place in Hazleton, you know. And it's an old building right on the corner. And a few years, years later, it was just torn down. It looked like it would blow down, but it was a big old two-story building. I forget how to tell the story, but there was a local lady in there, and the older man always said she had hot pants, okay, before hot pants was a thing.
Right.
So anyway, she's there, and she's got a guy drunk, and she's trying to get this guy out to go back to her place. And there's two other guys just having a terrible, wonderful time keeping the guy there, buying him another drink. And geez, she got mad at these guys and cuts them out. And we're younger, we're sitting there just enjoying the show. It was just, and I remember that so vividly, how mad she was and how much fun these two guys were having, keeping the other guy from leaving, you know. Just not to save him or anything, just being malicious, you know, just having a good time. And, no, it was my first experience, I guess, with a place that served alcohol.
Right.
And so,
you know, a lot of those places were family run, and they, you know, you talked about Herb welcoming Deb to the community. A lot of those places knew you by your first name, knew your parents' names.
Yeah.
They were community members.
Oh yeah.
It's how they paid their bill. They were unique places.
Yeah.
This is Steve Brown Arts Center Podcast Network. I know you've got a number of things, included gerrymandering there.
Yeah. And I mentioned I was walking by the library today at Miller Vogel. They're in the old Dr. Knipper's office by the library, and they got a new sign, a new logo in the window, and it looks very nice, very modern. And they used to have that big yellow sign. From the 50s, probably. I don't know, or the 60s. But it looks very nice. And so I want to compliment them on spicing up the neighborhood. It's making things look nicer. And I talked about the mailboxes being gone.
Yes.
And then I also wanted to invite all the teachers and people that have retired school employees. August the 25th is the first day of school. And we always get together that day at the Pizza Ranch in Independence and cry over the fact that we're not able to go to school anymore. And that we've all been let go because of our advanced years. But anyway, and if you, August 25th, if you're working at school and you're retired and you want to come and just see some people maybe you haven't seen for a while, that's 11:30 at the Pizza Ranch in Independence.
You've been retired now longer than I have, for 20 years. Do you get anxiety this time of year yet?
I don't get anxiety, no. I really lost a lot of anxiety when I retired. Mm-hmm. I mean, a lot of stress left my life.
Yes.
Because being responsible for that many kids or their education and having a principal that's watching you and to make sure you do your job right and working with the kids. And you got the parents, who all have dreams and ambitions for their kids and different things. And my stress level went way down when I did retire. And I have times in my life, like when you graduate from high school, you made it through that one. And when you get out of the Marine Corps, you go, oh, okay, I lived through that. And when you finally graduate from college and you get a job, and all those things are stress related, but then, when you get through with them, the stress goes away. And I think stress is a big killer. I think stress kills more people than anything else. I really do. So, all right. Gerrymandering has been in the news in Texas. Usually every 10 years you have to redistrict because of the census, because the legislatures build on your population. And so if you lose population in your state, then you lose legislators in the House of Representatives. Yes. People have learned they need to somehow keep their representatives or get more representatives that are going to run the country, which is what's been happening. And gerrymandering, the quote I found that was really good says, rather than voters choosing their representatives, gerrymandering empowers politicians to choose their voters. And what they do is they try to find people that they sure will vote for them or their party and pack them or, draw lines that will include as many of those people as possible. And so they have two things. It's called cracking, where it splits groups of similar characteristics across multiple districts. And so you take an area like Iowa City, which is very liberal Democrats.
Yes.
And so if you could somehow or other put Iowa City proper into 3 different congressional districts or whatever, so that their vote does not overpower the rural votes in those districts, well then, their leverage would be greatly diminished. And so it's called cracking, where you crack those groups apart. There's also packing, where you cram certain groups of voters into as few districts as possible. And so you make a district where you put all your liberals in one district, and then you pack your other districts with your conservatives.
Yes.
So that you get your legislators that you want. And again, as we know, if you have 10 more or 5 more than the other guy, that's all you need. You don't need a 100-to-1 representation. If you can get 5 more legislators from your party than the other party, then that's enough to control things. And so that's what they're looking for. The Iowa model, then, I was looking, because Iowa has a reputation as being one of the fairest states as far as how we redistrict. Iowa uses it's a nonpartisan agency called the Legislative Services Agency. And they, once we get our population numbers, draw up a map. It's nonpartisan. They do not look at Republicans and Democrats. They do not look at whether there's an incumbent living in this area or not. All they look at is the population and how it needs to be divided up. And they try to make it as equal as possible as far as population goes.
Okay.
They come up with a plan and they give it to the legislature, a map. And the legislature can vote yes for it or they can turn it down. Then they go to a second plan. And the legislature cannot add to it or add amendments to it. They have to take the map or not. Yeah. Second time, same thing. If they turn that one down, then there's a third map, and this one they can start adding amendments to.
Okay.
But if that one does not go through, then the Supreme Court of Iowa makes the map, and that's what it is. Okay. The governor, of course, has veto power and all these kinds of things, and so that's all part of it also.
Yes.
But that's how they come up, and it's considered to be one of the fairest ways of doing this redistricting. The districts. And this is not all the rules, but the districts are supposed to be as equal as in population as possible. They're supposed to be compact in form. Not supposed to be spread out all over, but compact. They're supposed to avoid irregular shapes. You can't have 50 miles that way, then 2 miles this way, then down this way a mile and over. It's supposed to be irregular shapes. And they prioritize squares, rectangles, and hexagonal shapes. That's what they're looking for, not these weird shapes.
Dale, do you see this changing in Iowa with a strong Republican presence?
If you look at 2030 would be the next time they would probably do it, though they, like Texas is doing it halfway through the redistricting. So, I don't know. You would think they would not, because it's worked so well for so long.
You would hope they would not.
But they are not supposed to divide counties or cities into different districts if they can possibly help it.
Okay.
That's one thing. And they cannot be drawn to favor a political party, an incumbent, or any person or group. It's supposed to be completely a bipartisan group. And so as we look at the mess they're having in Texas, you're hoping that Iowa whether you're a Republican or Democrat, you got to realize that things shift. And the best way for everybody is to keep a fair and impartial system. So even if you're not in power, you're still going to get a fair deal, and the voters are going to get. The main thing is, are the voters going to get a fair deal?
There you go.
The voters are voting for their representatives instead of the representatives figuring out a way to choose their voters. And so anyway, with all this gerrymandering in Texas and everything, I looked into that a little bit, and things that would be reasonable and practical when they're doing this stuff. Is this a reasonable redistricting, and is it practical?
Yes.
And there's other little things that are in and out, but for the most part, those are the main things that keep it fair and honest. And if you're not for fair and honest, then we should be representing us anyway. But that happens, I know. So anyway, and hopefully we won't redistrict in Iowa until 2030. But then, right now, Texas is redistricting, depending on how that turns out. And all they want 5 seats they can change. Right now, there are states, Michigan, Virginia, those swing states, where gerrymandering in the past won them enough Republicans. There's places where the Democrats got most of the votes, but the Republicans won most of the seats because of what they had done previously, setting up their districts. And so, damn it, that's just not right.
No.
It's just not right. People cheat. Even people that know better cheat. So, anyways, that's what I got in that.
All right. Well, this is Steve Brown Arts Center Podcast Network. We'll be right back. All right. This is Steve Brown Arts Center Podcast Network. We're back. The third half hour of the third half of the show, Dale.
Well, yeah. All right. I taught fractions, but I'm just gonna go with that and not get into it. Okay.
All right. Thank you.
The third half of the show.
The third half of the show.
Okay.
Remember Car Talks? Yeah. They used to have 3 halves. They used to have 3 halves of the show.
Okay.
I love this quote, and it is so neat. But it goes, the days my gratitude outweighs my expectations are some of the best days. And I'm so lucky to do the podcast with you and with Blake. I got Swimming Hour. I got to hang out at M's Coffee where Elsie and Pat McIntosh have their art this month. The people there are so kind to the Steve Brown Arts Center and to me. We always see negative things, but the days that I see the good things, Dale, are the days I'm grateful are the good days.
Yeah, and you feel gratitude for that. That says something good about you also.
Thank you. But there's a song by Taylor Kingman, and I'm not going to sing it, Dale, so don't worry.
Well, I don't know the song, so.
But it was.
I didn't know Taylor Kingman, so.
You get a chance. It's called Wannabe.
Wannabe.
So I'm going to read you the lines, and it goes like this. So I want to be strong. The time I proved I was right, I was wrong. The time we talked all night, man, I was drunk. Last time I came, babe, I was gone. I want to be strong. I want to be kind. I want to open all windows and warm apple pie. I want slowly blowing breezes in the sweet by and by. I want arms open wide, and baby, it's all right. I want to be kind. I want to be wise. I've sat stoned until sunrise, and I bet I looked divine. And I've cowered with conviction, and I bet I looked wild and sly. And I've talked too long, too loud, and I bet I look proud and right, and I want to be wise. I want to be clear. I want to wear out my wandering. I want to be here. I want to sober up and let sleep be in the vintage of my years. I want to awaken my walking through the valleys of voyeurs and mirrors. I want to be clear. I want to be true. The blossoms of love are blighted with fears in the roots, and that moment was honest, untouched by the next moment's truth. And I'm sorry for all I've taken, and I'm sorry for all I've let loose. I want to be true. I want to be forgiving up on everything I knew. I love that. Just a wonderful song.
He wants to be true. He wants to be kind. What were the others?
He wants to be wise. He wants to be clear. And he wants to be strong.
Just think if everybody was like that.
Yeah.
Wouldn't that be nice?
Yes.
I remember people say they'd rather be wise than be rich. That would be the best life. to be wise.
That's Taylor Kingman. You get a chance. It's called Wannabe. So, Dale, you got some announcements for us.
Well, a few things. Cowork 591, which is always nice to us, sponsor events during the year. And this week they have some food truck. The Chick-fil-A food truck is here on the 11th, 11 to 1:30. And Fat Roy's. I like Fat Roy's Mexican food truck. They have those giant burritos. Those are really good. Yeah. Fat Roy's Mexican food truck from 11 to 2. Shouldn't drool on my paper, should I? So, and then the 14th, this is a special once-a-year event. That's Thursday. Lunch in the Park is on the 14th, and there's a scout group doing the meal, right? And that's also the day that we sponsor Music in the Park. We have 27 different acts. Going to be there on the stage. And so if you like to see kids perform, and kids need to perform and get some encouragement from an audience, that's very important if you're going to do any kind of entertaining. There's 27 different acts at Lunch in the Park from 11 to 1 in the Park Pavilion. So
to be fair, Dale, that's co-sponsored with Cowork 591 as well.
Okay, yeah, because it's on their sheet here. I should have known that. Okay, yeah. So, Cowork helps sponsor that, and you get piano up there and microphones and this sort of thing.
And then Zuki Conley for the third year in a row is our MC, and she's very good at that.
Oh, yeah. And she's a wonderful musician. Have you ever heard her play an organ in the church or something, like at funerals or something? Just an excellent, not only as a teacher, but because I had kids that take lessons from her, but also as a performer. She's very, very good. A lifetime of practicing is something could do for you.
Right.
Too bad we didn't figure out something we could have done. We could be expert at something. What could it be? I don't know. All right. The Jesup Public Library they're winding down their summer things. The exercise group we talk about Monday, Wednesday, Friday, 8 o'clock, and there's always cars down there. I see those. Tuesdays at 1 o'clock in the afternoon, they have the card games. And Read to Phoebe is, they have one but one on the 11th. You can sign up for a 50-minute time to read to a beautiful therapy dog named Phoebe.
Oh, yeah.
That is Nolan's.
Sarah,
and her husband.
Used to be Sarah Curry.
They work with therapy dogs and help train them and, take care of them while they're getting ready to be. They do some training, but then, after they reach a certain age, then they are taken by someone else to actually do the training. But they bring those dogs to church, and they would just go in the pews, and the dog lies down on the floor and just as quiet as can be. But as part of the training is to take the dog into an area where there's a crowd of people or a number of people, and so pretty neat. And so those therapy dogs are really nice. Tech Help, I didn't realize they had this. Must be something new. Is it new? I don't know. Mondays at 9 o'clock. Need help downloading an app on your phone or need the latest update done on your device? Make an appointment and we can help. So that's Tech Work on 9 o'clock. And so that'd be easier than waiting to see my grandkids once a month. Can you figure this one out for me? Glow-in-the-dark painting and art show for all ages. And on the August the 12th, 13th, 14th, 15th, and 16th, they're going to have lessons and a time when you can create a piece of art that you can see with a black light. Did you have a black light in your college room or anything like that?
We didn't.
We had a lot of kids when I was in college did that with the black light, and they used to wear the marijuana guys too for some reason. I don't know why, but and then August the 18th, 19th, 20th, 21, 22, 23, they're going to have show dates. So the first week, the 12th through the 16th, is creating the art, and then the rest of us can go in and see what they came up with on the 18th through the 23rd at different times, and use a black light. It's kind of interesting. I don't know if you could be a black light guy. There was always the long-haired guys with the fringe vest and the different color. Okay.
I remember that.
All right.
I remember those days.
If you can still remember it, you must not have been too bad.
I was young. The older neighborhood guys just
they
like
told
that.
you about it. Yeah. Okay. All right. The creature feature on Wednesday. That's already done. But is the toads. But the rest of the month they're going to have monarch caterpillars from Fontana Park. And if you've never seen a monarch caterpillar turn into a chrysalis, you need to stop in and look at that, because it's the most beautiful bright green sac. It's got little gold dots along the seam. It's the most beautiful thing you're ever going to see from the wild. Monarch caterpillars are hard to come by. They used to be, you could get a lot of them, but now they're hard to find. But they're going to get some from Fontana, and you can watch them eat they chew up those thick milkweed leaves and form a chrysalis that hang down from the upside down, hang a little J, and their skin splits open and they wriggle, and they got that beautiful green chrysalis inside. So it's worth to come and see that.
There will be a picture of an artist, Debbie Christensen, entered that as art into the mini art show.
Oh, okay.
This
Little Tot Storytime Thursdays at 10:30, and they're going to have this month a special August 13th and August 18th. The first one at 9:30, second one at 2:30. They're going to have a school bus down there, and the kids can come and get on the bus, and then they'll have a story read to them. Kind of neat. But you can have story time on a school bus. You remember you ever ride much on a school bus in school? Or
Yes, I did.
I never did much until my last 3 years. We had to ride from Hazelton to Old Wine and did a lot of that in a school bus until one of my friends got his license. Then we went in his car, of course. But yeah, it was a different experience. Books and Brews Book Club is not going to meet until September, but they have the books September 8th at 6:30, On the Island by Tracy Graves, and The Bromance Book Club by, I'm going to say, Lisa K. Adams. And so, you know what a bromance refers to?
Yes.
Okay. Chapter Chat book. You're not going to explain it to me? I'm assuming it's romance and a brother, right?
It is.
Yeah,
You're
a good friend. Yeah,
a good friend.
Okay. And then the chat book is on August 18th at 1, and it's Miss Morgan's Book Brigade by Janet Skiseline Charles. And you can pick up a copy there. And it says June's title, but they mean August's title. So they had to edit their paper. So that's what the events are going on. And then the Steve Brown Art Center, it has August 17th. And you're welcome to come and see. The musicians jam session is going to be at the Park Pavilion from 2 to 2:30, 2 to 3:30 in the afternoon on August 17th. And August 25th, the Artist Collaborative are going to meet at Gedney's in Independence at 9 o'clock in the morning. So good chance to go in and have some coffee and a cinnamon roll and listen to these people talk about creating art. So,
you know, Dale, you were talking about the art and the book club. And please don't take this as a complaint. I'm just using this as an example.
Okay.
You know, I've volunteered a couple books, but here's the issue with books, and this is an editor's. This is actually a publisher's issue, not an editor's issue. There's got to be books that are printed extra size for people that are losing their sight. That's the thing. If we can't, if our librarians that do a great job getting books for the book clubs can't find those large print books, they can't do them as book clubs.
Yeah.
And I understand that completely. I volunteered a couple books, and they said, yeah, if we can find the large print books, we'll do that.
Yeah.
But they can't find the large print books.
Yeah. I thought it's interesting there's a charge now with all the budget cuts and everything for interlibrary loan, this sort of thing.
I did not know that.
But I understand if you order large print books for people that there's no charge for that.
Oh, good.
Yeah.
Good.
So
I'm happy to hear that.
That's the way I interpreted what she told me. So,
yeah.
I wasn't wearing my glasses that day, so she said she'd order a large print copy for me of this book I want. So that's probably cheating, isn't it? So
yeah.
All right. Just like a gerrymandering Rueber. Never mind. Go ahead.
All right.
1, 2, 3, go.
So Dale, thank you for all that. This is Steve Brown Art Center Podcast Network. Remember, as we mentioned earlier, Elsie and Pat McIntosh are showing their art in M's Coffee in Independence. M's is a great supporter of the Steve Brown Art Center. Remember, on the 24-hour Mustang camera sponsored by Joe's Pizza in Independence. We want to shout out to Karen and Bill Reichs. They donated substantial sum to the Steve Brown Art Center. Karen was the sister of longtime teacher Pat Rose.
Oh, okay.
And I miss my friend Pat Rose.
Yeah, she's a wonderful lady.
Yes, she was.
We lost some great teachers up there over the years.
We did.
Just some wonderful people. So, wonder why they're the ones that have to go.
And we want to say hi to Karen and Bill, and even after even after all these years, we still miss Pat, and we know you do as well. And we want to thank you for your kind donation to the Arts Center.
And I was going to shout out too, and they'll probably be gone before this comes out, but Kurt Beyer, graduate of our high school, and he works for a large financial company, and works in London for them. They're at their London office, and he's going to be visiting his parents with his family this weekend.
Oh, really?
And, back home in Iowa.
Yes.
So hopefully he gets to eat some sweet corn and that sort of thing. But they're really looking forward to having their son come home.
I'll bet you they are.
From London, yeah.
I'll bet you they are. How cool.
Be interesting. The kids, go to American school, but by the grandparents say, when they speak English. Be interesting to listen to them talk and
cool.
Just different. Nice to have them back.
We are actually starting to build our next 12 artists for next year, Dale. We have our schedule filled till Christmas for M's Coffee, and we need 12 more artists.
Okay.
So we need 12 artists. So we're looking for help out there. So you and Blake need to get busy learning how to paint. Get at it, you guys.
If we could paint the barn, we'd probably do all right. But if you want a picture of something, why? Of course, I won't get into it now. So.
All right.
Everybody knows how I feel about that modern spatter art and that sort of thing. Yes, okay.
If you'd like to donate to the Steve Brown Arts Center or have an idea for an event, go to the SteveBrownArtCenter.org and follow the link. If you have news or would like to sponsor us, email us at jim@SteveBrownArtCenter.org or call 319-290-0241 and leave a message. I'm Jim Gillespie with co-host Dale Rueber and producer Blake Tempus. Our thanks as always again to Kelly C. Haas, Cowork 591, and Sean Westfall for sponsoring us. I know that Dale's in negotiations for giving a tour of Jesup history here in September, and so keep your eyes and ears open for that. Dale was kind enough. That was our first event ever at the Steve Brown Arts Center at the library.
And how many people came? It was 30, wasn't it?
At least 30.
We thought there'd be
30.
3.
Yeah,
I was really surprised. You were quite humbled also.
Oh, good. Thanks to the audience for bringing these stray dogs into your life, and remember that each day is about little victories.
Okay.